Now at Lowe's, faster quotes start at the Lowe's Pro Desk. Got a material list handwritten on a sticky note or saved as a photo? Perfect. Bring it to us and get a quote in minutes. And if you don't see what you need on the shelf, we'll help you get it. You can access thousands of products beyond what's available in-store or on Lowes.com, right from the Lowe's Pro Desk. Build quotes faster and source the materials you need to keep your jobs moving. Just like that, at Lowe's.
I'm Whitney Baker, coach, facilitator, meditation teacher, and writer. Electric Ideas is for women, especially mothers, who are done disappearing inside their responsibilities. If you're holding everything together but running on empty or feeling disconnected from your needs and desires, this is a place to come back to yourself. If you're ready to feel alive again in the messy middle of real life, you're in the right place. Let's spark something. Welcome back to Electric Ideas. Before we jump into today's summer replay episode, I want to share something that I am super pumped about. It's called the Summer Joy Challenge. It's coming back this summer in full force due to popular demand. I've been working with moms long enough that I've started to notice these patterns, and every year around this time, I notice the same thing. Moms spend a ton of energy creating and thinking through and planning a thoughtful summer for everyone they love, but get so caught up in the schedules and the logistics and the coming and going of everyone else that oftentimes their own sense of aliveness and play and joy slips to the bottom of the list. I know that if it hasn't happened already, that soon all of you moms are going to be coordinating how people get to camp and figuring out reservations for your vacation. You're probably also going to be making sure there's cold treats in the freezer and trying not to lose your mind that the kitchen gets messed up like every 20 minutes during summertime. So we have to make a conscious effort to remember in the middle of this all that our joy matters too, because when we are in joy, that's when we are able to share joy, to ripple joy. So if you're headed into summer feeling depleted after May, a little disconnected with yourself, or maybe even a little resentful of being cruise director for everyone else's experience, this challenge was made just for you. I do not want you to wake up in August wondering where the summer went and realize you never stopped long enough to ask yourself simple questions like, what would make this season feel good for me too? The absolutely 100% free Summer Joy Challenge for moms is filled with small invitations, playful experiments, and really just gentle nudges designed to help you reconnect with yourself right in the middle of your real summer life. You get an email every Monday with a challenge, and it's something little or silly just to make sure that you're not living in autopilot and missing the natural abundance and opportunities for joy that we have so much extra access to in the summer season. If this sounds like something you'd like to be a part of, be sure to snag your spot. The challenge begins on June 22nd. Okay, now let's get into today's episode. Today's replay conversation feels especially timely for me. This is a meaningful conversation with Scottie Durrett, a motherhood and lifestyle coach whose work centers on self-compassion, identity, and creating a life that feels good from the inside out. I hope that summer feels like a little bit of a promise of more freedom, more reprieve. However, something important that Scottie and I talk about during our conversation is that even when things slow down, when we're so used to having so many balls to juggle, sometimes it's hard for moms to turn off that switch of just feeling like we always need to be like figuring something out or doing something. So this conversation is really about what rest looks like and how you can develop self-trust and spaciousness and remember your own needs, even as your capacity changes at different points in your motherhood journey and in different parts of the year, in different seasons. I'm so glad you tuned in today because I know this conversation was one you are meant to hear. Enjoy. Hi, Scottie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I want to start by painting a familiar picture for many moms that I know you speak into, and that is that moment where maybe our coffee is actually warm and we sit down for a minute and we're like, okay, I deserve to have this coffee. But then that critical brain kicks in and we see the laundry pile and we get pulled into feeling like we don't deserve that break and that we need to keep going and be productive. Can you speak into that?
Yeah, I can feel that in my body. Our thoughts really do manifest in our physical body. And when you were explaining that, I could feel the stomach ache, right? With all the things that we have to do. I first want to say that I believe that women and those who choose to be a mom are a very special type of energy because they have this desire to take care of someone or something outside of them. And that offers so much love in return. But the busyness of life picks up. Life's, people, kids, kid, right? And before you know it, you have 45 things on your to-do list. You are the CEO of this business. You're the captain of the ship. Everybody comes to you. They're always pulling on your shoulder. Mom, or help, right? So the habit forms very quickly that you are the central nervous system of your family. And if you're not functioning, then something might fall through the cracks. And all of a sudden, if something falls through the cracks, it doesn't just affect you. It could affect your child if you forget to do the permission slip or forget to wash their baseball pants or pick up their jacket at the cleaners, right? That is a real ripple effect of energy. So the responsibility on the mom, it becomes very real. The stakes have never been higher. So this habit forms. If I don't do it, it will not get done. And there's a belief that sets into most moms' brains, right? So when you are taking a moment, if you are somehow gifted 10 minutes, 5 minutes for the coffee, 10 minutes to put your feet up, that belief pops right back in. Wait. In order to keep you safe, we have to keep busy. Because if you're busy, things work out and things don't fall through the cracks and you're in your comfort zone. So if all of a sudden we're not moving, that's very uncomfortable because it means we're not matching our own beliefs about our role as a mom. Now, that's a very long-winded way to say we can get into some real habits of just forgetting how to slow down, forgetting how to give ourselves a break. But just like forming a new habit, it's just building up new habits around putting your feet up and realizing that you can do both. You can rest and still get stuff done on your to-do list and take care of your family, and nothing will fall through the cracks. And at the end of the day, if it does, you'll be okay. But it is a real feeling, that mom guilt, that mom pressure. It's not just a notion. It's real. It's in our bodies. So I can feel that.
I can too. And there's so much to unpack in there because I do feel like there's this ethos, and, especially when we can see with all of the access to social media and everything that can be wonderful, but also can be challenging. I feel like there's this feeling that we always could and should be doing more and that we're going to drop the ball if we stop. And you just said that. But I'm done with this mommy martyrdom stuff. I feel like it's almost self-aggrandizing in a way to think that nobody can do anything else. And sometimes I think a few balls might have to drop for other people to realize, yeah, you can do that yourself. And also, I like to think about it sometimes as sometimes some of these little balls drop, but it means that you're actually making space for bigger things that will move the needle and make you feel good. Have you experienced that too?
100%. I love what you said. Just because we can, it doesn't mean we should, and that's a real release, I think, for a mom. When kids are younger, it's me. I'm taking care of you. I'm making sure you stay alive and you don't fall on the toilet and you get food, right? Like there's that fourth trimester in the first year, you're keeping that kid alive. But there has to be a movement where we shift from I do to then we do, and then eventually you do. And I think something that's really hard, because my kids are older. I've got an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 12-year-old. I've got a child that's about to head off to college. 10 years ago, that felt like a millennium away. I didn't have to worry about it. But now that they've gotten older and they've become more independent, I'm realizing, wait a second, they are going to go into the world and I'm not going to be there. So are they going to trust that they know how to do it? If I'm always the one that's doing it for them, not only do they not think I trust them and that they're capable, but they're just missing some massive skill sets there. And we want our kids to walk through life knowing, first of all, my mom thinks I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread and I can handle anything. And we teach them that by allowing them to do things. It's time for you to learn how to make your lunch. I'd love to see how you do the laundry. You make your bed, even if, and this is such a stressor for me because I'm such a type A, even if you have to sometimes go behind them and remake the bed just to calm your own anxiety. It's like, let them do it their way. And one of the ways I can equate this, when you have new babies, they're a part of your body or what, however you've chosen to be a mom, it really does. It's the mom that's the main force. And that feeling when you finally get that date night and your mother-in-law is coming over to take care of the kid and you hand them a 35-page instruction manual on how to give them a bath and feed them dinner and put them to bed, because if it's not your routine, then they're not going to sleep, then it's wrong. And then eventually you're thinking, wait, there's other ways to do it. And that's a big release. If you're able to let go of that, congratulations. That's really hard. But those are good practices. So then over time, you let your kid, you make your lunch. Even if all that's packed in there is a jar of Nutella and a bagel, I don't know. And then eventually you make your own bed. But it not only is giving them, to your point, this beautiful opportunity to learn, I'm strong, I'm resilient, I'm capable, but it takes some stuff off of your shoulders so that you can start to make room for new things that are meant for you, ways for you to take care of yourself, ways for you to fall back in love with life. So what you were saying with some of those balls dropping, we don't even have to think about them as a ball drop, but maybe just distribute the ball to a different owner.
Yeah. And have you found in your work with clients that sometimes this need to control and almost over busyness is a little bit of a mask for discontentment?
That's how I lived for a long time. I think with our current society and the pressure that we put on ourselves, and like you were talking about, you can open up your phone and see 30 families who are, creating the most perfect moment on the beach or have the most perfect graduation lunch or kindergarten adventure. And so the comparison can be very, very dangerous. But, being busy, first of all, it's a dopamine hit. What feels better than crossing something off your to-do list? It just feels freaking amazing. And when you're a mom, yes, you love your kids, you love your work. If you're choosing to work, you love your life. But it can get very boring, can get very monotonous. You're having a conversation with a toddler, right? You're talking about carpool schedules, nap schedules, poop schedules, helping your kids study for exams. It can get kind of boring and not stimulating. So being busy, checking things off your to-do list, having someone tell you, oh my gosh, I don't know how you can do it all. This is dopamine. You're chasing that high so that your body is learning, that's how we get that high. It's the same as scrolling social media. It's like that amazing high. It's also an avoidance mechanism, right? Because it can be very uncomfortable to sit with your own thoughts and to say things like, gosh, I'm not feeling that good today. I'm kind of lonely today. I'm not as happy as I thought I would be. That was my biggest thought, or maybe I'm meant for more. I don't know if I'm cut out for this being with my kids 24/7. What's wrong with me? And all those feelings can get very uncomfortable. Anxiety, frustration, anger, sadness, grief. It can all be a lot, especially when you're a tired mom and you don't really have the mental and emotional capacity to process a feeling. What makes that feeling go away? You stand up, clean the kitchen, do the laundry, go through the pantry, order groceries, make dinner. It's all of a sudden it's gone, right? All of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. And so stillness can really make things bubble up, and that can make us very uncomfortable. And so being busy allows us to outrun that, and doesn't mean it goes away. It just allows us to outrun it in that moment. And, constant doing can become your comfort zone. It can become the state that you in your body feel the most safe, the most familiar. And when you slow down, first of all, it's so anticlimactic, right? All of a sudden you're bored. I mean, it's very uncomfortable, but it can make your body feel like you're not in a safe space because it's so unfamiliar. And so it's going to tell you, nope, got to get up, can't sit down. That's why if you can't sit still, it's a real visceral and subconscious response to that new mode.
So for the mom who maybe is still becoming aware and wanting to unwind from this feeling of guilt for resting, how can we flip the meaning of rest in our life from being this guilty pleasure, if you will? I don't like calling it that at all, into more of a tool, because that's been one of the biggest flips for me, is really not seeing it like I deserve this, or it's like 2.0 for me has been like, no, this actually makes me be able to step into my highest self, my highest contribution.
Any new habit, say you want to run a 5K, we don't just get up and go run the 5K, right? We've got to get all the new tennis shoes, new socks, and get the water bottle. And, you got to tell your family, mom's going to, run this 5K. And then you start. What do you go? You maybe get 20 minutes, 10-minute run. You don't expect that all of a sudden you could just run the race. Or if you did run the race, your body would probably take 6 months to recover, right?
Yes.
This is the same thing. I always tell my clients, start small. There's no race. We're not going to run out of the path. So if you are becoming aware that you're not able to be still, or if you're becoming aware that you're just so tired all the time and you're just exhausted, and no matter how much you sleep, you still wake up kind of dreading the day, kind of dragging along, and you're not feeling the same joy for the things that usually bring you a lot of joy. It just is probably a good time for you to notice that and realize you're probably burned out. You're probably just exhausted. So how can we start to heal your body? How can we help you start to bring some rest back into your day in a way that doesn't make you so uncomfortable that you run for the hills? So I always say start small. The first thing is just notice. I mean, when you wake up in the morning, before your feet hit the floor, before you walk into the kitchen and immediately clock in as mom, just do a 60-second body scan. How's my head? Do I have a headache? How are my ears? Like, did I clench my jaw last night? How are my shoulders? Are they up here? Can I relax them a little bit? How's my heart rate? Am I hungry? It's just kind of go through and just connect back to your body. The more you do that, the more it's going to talk to you. And the more you will understand, like, I have had a headache for a week. Great. Let's start there. Let's start small and slowly start taking care of yourself, because then you're going to get these little wins where one day you wake up and you don't have a headache. And then your subconscious and body is going to say, okay, that was good. So taking care of ourselves, that wasn't so scary. And look at us. We're getting benefits, right? The same way you do when you work out, right? You work out and you're like, oh my gosh, that was so hard, but I slept better. I feel better. I have more patience. I'm eating. I have a better appetite. It's like you start to see the benefits. We all know it. So we can tell ourselves that, right? And so then the next day you're saying, wait, that felt really good. I'm going to do that body scan again. And my body's going to talk to me and tell me what it needs for me today. Those are really good ways to just kind of start the practice of noticing yourself in your own day and not just noticing everybody else. Then as you build that in, then we can start talking about, okay, great. What does that look like consistently? What kind of moments throughout the day can we plan? Can you sit down to eat lunch? Can you actually sit down at a table and eat lunch and take 30 minutes? Oh my gosh, right? Can you sit on the sofa and watch a show without folding laundry, writing up a grocery list, or scrolling your phone? It's just these tiny little moments that will be paying you back. And then, it's like each time you go back, you can run longer, you can do it stronger. And then eventually, before you know it, you've built in a meditation practice, you've built in a nap, you've built in something without having to convince yourself before you're ready. So I always say, like, start small. How can we fit it in? What can we do today? How can we solve this today? That's the only thing we're focusing on.
I can't be more aligned, because I feel like a lot of women, it just feels so overwhelming when they start listening, like, oh my God, well, my body aches and and it's just, I think finding small ways to start weaving what we can do in our current situation into our day-to-day lives gets momentum. And I also have found with my clients that once you start a stillness practice and a listening practice, like even like you said, that body scan, it doesn't take as long. You get imprints more quickly. And it's just like a sense of deep trust that feels really good.
One of my favorite practices, I put a glass of water on my bedside table every night. So when I wake up in the morning, I drink water first. And as I'm drinking the water, I'm saying over and over again, today is going to be a good day. Today is going to be a good day. And we always hear about affirmations and they sound kind of woo-woo. And I know some people are like, I don't understand. Like, what's up with affirmations? But if you're kind of if you need more logic and science behind it, our own positive thoughts actually have effects on our physiological health, right? So when you think a positive thought, your body actually releases dopamine and serotonin, the feel good hormones. So when you're drinking that glass of water and you're saying to yourself, today's going to be a good day, you're actually flooding your system with the feel good hormone, which is, first of all, wonderful. You walk into the kitchen, you have way more patience. Your kids are going to love that. They're going to love mom showing up a little bit more chill than usual. But actually, physiologically in your body, you're going to feel more relaxed. You're going to feel more inner peace and inner zen and calm. And that's a beautiful way to start the day. In contrast, when we have negative thoughts, I can't do this, I don't have time, this is too hard, life is so unfair, that actually releases cortisol. And we've got cortisol pumping through our body. And that's a stress hormone. So, of course, that's what you're bringing into the kitchen. So, if all you can do all day, because you're a busy mom, and I get it, drink that glass of water, just say today is going to be a good day, and just notice, does that make a difference? Does that help at all? It's just those little bits, those little things. How can we help ourselves and not slow down and not change and not completely have to wait till our kids are older or the season is over? It's like, no matter how busy you are, there are these little things that we can do that can help you regardless of your kids' ages and what life is dishing out.
I love that because hopefully you're going to drink the water either way. You might as well. I'll take a little flood of dopamine with that water. Thank you. I love that. One thing you talk about that I wanted to make sure to touch on is kind of how it's dicey territory for some moms to pour and pour and pour into their kids, but then almost to become reliant on their kids for their own sense of happiness. Why is that dicey territory?
We could do a whole series on this.
That's for sure.
When you become a mom, it doesn't really matter how many books you read. You've never been that mom and you've never had that kid. It's a first. It's always a bunch of firsts, no matter what we're going through. Even if you have multiple kids, the kids are totally different. And when you become a mom overnight, that's what it feels like. Your entire identity shifts and it feels incredibly vulnerable and you're very insecure and you really don't know who you are. And that's totally fine. It's a complete shift. And in order for you to function so that you can actually get up out of bed and take care of everybody, it's then natural for us to look outside of us for validation. Am I being a good mom? Am I doing the right thing? I need someone who's been there before, who's done it to come and tell me, you're doing a great job. Oh my gosh, your kids are amazing. They're doing great. So slowly over time, you start to connect your own self-worth to what's going on with your child, because that's how you've received confirmation and reward that you're doing a good job. Even the baby books. This is how you put them to sleep. If you put them to sleep, then you are doing a good job with their sleep schedule, right? Very natural. There's no shame in this. I think one of the most beautiful things us moms can do is lean on others to help us when we are feeling stuck and lost and confused. It's wonderful. But what we want to remember, and this is a practice I know that you work on tremendously for yourself and with your clients. Yes, there's a codependency there, but we want to understand that we need our kids as much as they need us, but they are not us. They are their own unique, beautiful individual. And what we can try to practice more than ever is really not taking credit for the good and not being blamed for the bad. I know that's hard, but if you can look at your kid as a teammate, as somebody that you want, they are creating their own journey and you're just supporting them along. It's not your journey. You're not on stage with them. You're in the audience. You get to watch them. They're the greatest reality TV show in the history of reality TV shows. But if you start to notice, if they strike out at the plate or get an F or they're not crawling as quickly as the other kids, if you start to then think a panic is racing up in your body, like, oh my gosh, okay, I better get a hitting coach. I better do this. I better do this. That's a really good sign for you to start to wonder, like, would I be okay even if they struck out? Will I be okay even if they fail the test? Will I be okay even if they're the last one to crawl, the last one to walk, have the worst grade in math? Will I be okay if they get a detention, right? And that's what you want to start checking in. If you're not, no shame there. That's great information for you to understand where you are placing your self-worth and happiness. It's a natural thing for us to want to belong and feel loved. Again, that dopamine hit. Gosh, your kid is the best in the class. Of course you're proud, but that actually has nothing to do with you. You created a beautiful space for them to grow and trust themselves and raise their hand, and that's amazing. But their work, that's not yours. That's not yours to own. We want to make sure we separate that. It's a practice, and I really want to give moms, like, give yourself grace here. Being a mom is so complicated and there is no blueprint. And every relationship with a mom and her child is brand new and unique. It's like my husband, I was voracious with reading the baby books, and he was like, oh my gosh, stop. This book wasn't even written about your kid. It's a suggestion. It's all normal to want all those things, to want your kid to be the best, to want the best life for them, to stop at nothing to make sure that they have everything. But the question is to ask, even if they don't have everything, will you be okay? And I'm a big Kabbalah person, and they talk about this a lot in measuring, like, if you looked at your to-do list or your daily schedule and say you had this wonderful podcast interview and then you had this new client call and your kid was going to get, featured at the auditorium today for the presentation, and your husband was going to take you out to this amazing dinner, right? And you're so excited. If everything got canceled and none of that happened, would you still be happy? That's a very general way to say it, but it's kind of looking at your kids the same way. Even if they strike out, are you still able to clap? Can you see the journey? Can you see the beauty of that moment? Can you make it not about you? And it's hard, but I think this is the work. I think this is one of the most beautiful things that a mom can do for her own mental and emotional health, for the long-term sustainability of her relationship with her child, and to make sure that when your child is ready to walk out the door and go take over the world and create their own path, that they're not looking over their shoulder worried that you're not going to be okay if they leave. That would be a beautiful gift. We want our kids to go run, soar, go follow your journey. I'm always here, but my happiness isn't dependent on you.
Yeah, there's a lot of goodness in there. I want to reflect something back to you. I read something, I wish I could give it credit, but I don't recall where I read it, but it was a little bit in that parenting vein of your child is going to be a unique and surprising mix of genes from all across all your ancestors and your partner's ancestors. And it called on moms to think of themselves more as a shepherd. And basically, if your child is not born to be a genius in basketball, no amount of momming is going to, create that. But I really like that distinction you're making of course, we're all wanting to be proud moms. Like, that's just innate. But just like almost not taking all the credit for the supposedly good things, but also not putting the pressure or disappointment of the world when your kid is the equivalent of striking out in something. I just feel like that's a really important piece there. So I wanted to reflect that back. I also want to talk to you about sometimes, because I know we share this, I've had moments where I fall into past programming and I'm getting into that like busy mode. And it's usually, I've noticed, when my life feels out of control, like there's too much, I've overcommitted. And we all do that. Even people like you and me who've been at this forever, I'm not on any pedestal over here. But sometimes I pause. I remind myself that my daughters are watching me. And then I'll ask myself, if this was a day they were living as an adult, is this the type of day I would want them to have?
It's a great pause. I love that. I used to say all the time, gosh, I'll have all this time to take care of myself and rest when my kids are older. I lived that belief for probably the first 12 years of my first child's life. She's 18 now. And now that I have teenagers, I'm giggling. I'm like, well, joke's on me, because even though the conversations change and the context of your day changes, you're always mom. There's always something. So there's always going to be someone or something who needs you. And that's the role of a mom, which is beautiful, right? I still need my mom. She's in town this weekend. I'm like, Mom, I need you to help me pick up the kids and come to dinner with me. I mean, it's still a need. But we have to remember that our kids, and I say this in like the most beautiful way, if we are not feeling good inside our own body, they have zero care about that whatsoever. They are not concerned with our own sleep schedule and if we're taking care of ourselves. What they care about is who we are and our energy when we're around them. Are we engaged? Are we present? Are we enjoying them? Are we liking them? Are we off our phone? Do we have enough energy to help them with homework and walk the dogs and cook the dinner and the extra snack? Are we available? They are expecting that. They are expecting us to be at our best when they walk in the door from school. If we don't feel as good as we want to feel, if we have way too much on our plate, if we are feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and very stressed out, that's a beautiful opportunity, I say, for you to re-examine what you've been focusing on and what's on your list. Like, what do you have on your to-do list? Is it really necessary? Because what is it robbing from you? What is it removing from you? And what is it removing from your time with your kids? There's a lot going on, and we have to be careful. It can really catch up to you, right? Before you realize it, you look down and you're like, oh my God, especially if you have multiple kids, each child has their own willpower and schedule and social schedule. But sometimes you have to be really hard on the boundaries, right? Like that's the mom's job, especially if you're the one that is carrying the brunt of it. If you're the one that's not sleeping and waking up and dreading the day and wishing the moments away till your kids are finally in bed so you can get a moment to yourself. It's that kind of energy that Mel Robbins says, like, no one's coming. No one is coming. And that was such a good reminder for me. No one is coming to help me learn how to take care of myself, eat better and sleep better and say no to stuff. The only way I'm going to learn where and when I'm at my capacity is to be aware of how I'm feeling in my 24 hours. And that's all we can do, right? It's like, again, just how are you feeling today? It's like, how did the day go? What did you like? What did you not like? And as unsexy as this is, running a house is kind of like running a business. And I worked for Gap Corporate for a very long time. And we would always have these quarterly meetings to talk about, hey, what worked? What didn't work? Where are the positive comps? Where did we lose money? Where are we hemorrhaging? Where are we bleeding? Who's going to stay employed? Who's not? And it was great information gathering. So then we could apply all of that to the next quarter. Parenting is no different. What worked this spring? What didn't work this spring? I'll give you an example. I have 3 kids. They're all very athletic. It's really easy nowadays to get involved in sports where you play a sport all year long. I've never heard of that before. So before I realized it, one of my kids ended up and they had 3 sports. It's like, this is crazy. This is not sustainable. So I finally sat the family down. I said, you can pick one sport a semester. That's it. And I'll talk to the coach or whatever, but we are not the kind of family that can allow, we're at capacity and I need to be in charge of that because I'm at my wit's end. You're not sleeping. We have to make sure this is a business assessment. What worked this spring? What didn't? Great. What shifts can we make to try and see if next semester is going to be a little bit better? It is easy to get caught up, especially if your best friend is that kind of person that can just juggle 1,000 things. And it's easy to talk to other moms in the carpool line. You get FOMO. Oh my gosh, what camp are you doing? What after school? Or you're in karate now and piano. And if I don't do all these things, maybe they won't go to Stanford. It's like your brain can take you on these journeys. But really, all we can do is do our best with what we have right now in the moment. At the end of every day, if you like the drinking the water and scanning your body, do it at night. How did the day go? Okay, I didn't eat that much. I'm really frustrated. I'm anxious. I'm feeling all these feels. Amazing. All of that is just incredible feedback that your body is giving to you to help you use to try and make tomorrow better. If you've gotten too much on your plate, we've all been there. I'm there right now. But I'm in also a learning of like, okay, this was a really tough semester for me. I don't like how I felt in a lot of situations. It's time for me to make some adjustments. No one is coming to do that except me. And my kids are just expecting me to show up at my best. How can I do that?
Yeah. A couple things I want to just recap in there because they're such beautiful points. I mean, one, the ripple effect of mom's energy in the house. It's real. It's so real. And so I always think about that image of you consciously drinking your water and taking a moment just to tune into yourself before you're around others versus just groggily, maybe resentfully walking in. That's major. So we do have the power and we have the time to make those small changes. I think your whole thing with like the sports and everything, because I'm in the thick of that right now, it's very tricky to navigate. I think it comes back to that comparison, though. It's like you are taking the time to raise awareness and reflect on, like, this is what's working for our family. And this is where it felt like we were so committed that nothing felt fun anymore. Nobody likes that. And sometimes it takes experimentation, but I know if there's like more nights than not where I'm like, everybody's going in different directions, it's wise to be like, nope, that just didn't work. We're not doing that again. And I think it shows your ability to reflect with your family, which is an important thing that you're modeling for them, but also to make decisions from a sense of self-trust versus fear, that FOMO, that what everyone else is doing. So that's incredible.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Self-trust versus fear. And actually with going back to the getting up in the morning, checking in with yourself before checking into the world, that's practicing self-trust. So you don't, as a busy mom, you don't have to say, okay, I need to sit down and practice self-trust because it's so hard. Not many people have time and the training to sit down and meditate for 30 minutes. But it's those little conversations when you check in with yourself before checking in, that's going to build self-trust. And over time, you will notice that then making those decisions that are best for you and your family that might be different from your best friends, you will have built some of that self-trust to know it's okay. It's okay. Again, I think for us, we've never been a mom before. And so it's all a learning. It's this beautiful journey. And just even because we're moms, we're not supposed to know all the answers. And that happens to me all the time with my kids. They'll ask me a question. I'm like, I don't know, but let's find it out. Great question. And I think
Yeah.
forgiving ourselves, it's okay if we've had a couple of weeks or a couple of months or a couple of years where you're like, whoa, I'm not sure I really love the way I've been showing up. It's okay. Great observation. You get now the choice. You can shift that if you want.
I totally agree. The world's hard enough. The world expects so much of moms these days and is knocking at our door all the time. I feel like the self-compassion piece is major. So I appreciate you mentioning that. I know we're coming up on time. I listened to something you talked about. You kind of described yourself as a larger than life, like fun-loving person. And you shared, which I appreciate the vulnerable share, that during motherhood, kind of the earlier phases of motherhood, you felt like your smallest self. And that just felt visceral for me. I'm wondering if you can tell us, you've started all these wonderful practices, and I love how intentional you're being with yourself and your boundaries and your family. What's one thing Scottie today stopped doing that former Scottie did?
Oof, that's a really good question. I need to go back actually into that version. I lost touch in that time with what really mattered to me. And I was very caught up with other people's perception of me. And so I was living what I thought was a very pleasing and appropriate and correct life. Now, I love my quirks. I love that I'm more rocky road. I love that I'm different. I love that I'm slower to make decisions now for my family. And I think part of it is the building of the self-trust that even if I'm the salmon, even if it looks different, it's like I'm always now checking in with me. And I believe truly that we are our kids' moms for a reason, our true, authentic self. And I'm very woo-woo. And I believe, our souls are here for a reason. I believe that you and your child are soulmates and that your soul energetically is a match for your child's soul. The only way for that relationship to blossom is when we shed all the expectations and the filters and we show up authentically. And how cool if you practice trusting yourself and showing up authentically, they will too. They will too. And in today's current landscape of the pressure of social media, the amount of data that comes into their brains, I mean, just what they are dealing with, it's very different than how I grew up. I want them to trust themselves more than anything. I want them to highlight their quirks. I want them to know it's okay to be different. You don't have to follow the crowd. It's okay to listen to your heart. I had to learn how to listen to my own inner voice. I had to learn how to trust myself, even if somebody else questioned me, even if somebody else was like, well, that's different. I don't know if I would do that. Why are you doing that? And it's just this practice. It starts small. It's like checking in with myself. Like, how do I feel today? What do I want to do? And as a busy mom, we get 1,000 text messages, requests, emails, invitations, birthday parties. work for the PTA, do all this. I used to just, yes, 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 yes. I would get that email and reply yes right away because why not? Why wouldn't I want to help out at the school and go to that event and be engaged in the community and help my kid? Now I'll actually wait 24 to 48 hours before responding and let my whole body decide, do I want to do that? Do I have the space for that? Do I have the capacity for that? Is there anything else that's higher up on my priority list that I want to do instead? And then I answer. Maybe it's still a yes, but it's coming from a yes of like genuine, authentic yes, not out of people pleasing yes. And that has been such a shift for me. I don't have as much anxiety. I don't have as much self-doubt. I don't yell as much. And I think I have more energy because I'm not just on autopilot. And it is that kind of building the self-trust and really showing up authentically. And because of it, now I am a better mom for my kids because I'm a better match, because I'm being myself.
That's a beautiful practice, Scottie. Thank you for sharing that. And I love that you see your authenticity as an offering. I feel like we've had lots of beautiful opportunities for reflection, but I do always end my episodes with an opportunity for a reflective question for moms who tune in, partially because they want to create that pause. And by listening to this podcast, maybe they have a moment. So when it comes to reclaiming rest as a source of power, and also to it never being too late to reclaim our sense of self outside of the roles we've played, what's one question women could be asking themselves?
Well, one, I love what you just said. It's never too late and you're never too old, ever, to do anything. So just don't ever forget that. I think just talk to your body. Just talk to your body. Your body is your best friend. It has your back more than anything in the world. Your body wants you to feel your best and do your best and have your best. And it has all the answers that you need. If you're wondering why you're tired and feeling brain foggy and feeling disconnected and anxious, you don't have to look outside of you. You just have to tune in and just start listening to your body. Even the messages that feel like a negative message, like a headache, a stomach ache, a shoulder grinding your teeth, all of it has a positive intention. It's trying to get you to focus on the root cause of that ailment, because when you focus on that root cause, you're going to create your own relief. And then you don't have to wait till your kids are older. You don't have to wait till Mother's Day or the vacation or summer break. You can create inner peace and relief yourself on a regular Tuesday. Just talking to your body, listening to your body, noticing your body's communication with you. If you listen to your body, you have the GPS that will take you from where you are to where you want to go. And you don't have to wait for anyone or anything to change. You have it all inside of you. And that's one of the most empowering things I think moms and women should we have the most powerful tool ever, and that's our own bodies. And it's when in doubt, tune in.
Thank you. That is a beautiful place to leave. I know that my listenership will want to follow you and soak in more of your wonderful work. So where can we find you?
I'm always on Instagram, which is at Scottie Durrett. And my website is also my name, Scottie Durrett. I have the Momplex podcast, which Whitney is going to be a guest on. I cannot wait. And I have a lot of free resources, a lot of things that are fit into your busy life in a couple of minutes that can help a mom. So definitely check it out, but reach out to me if I'd love to hear what you're specifically going through, because maybe Whitney and I can specifically give you some support and you don't have to wait.
Love that. I'm so glad you joined me today. If you're looking for more, feel free to connect with me on Instagram at @WhitneyWoman. And if you enjoyed the show, I invite you to support me by leaving a review or sharing it with a friend. Hope you have an inspired day.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.